Hello everyone, welcome to Tea and Overtones. Beautiful quote from Hazrat Inayat Khan I'd like to read to you. He says, "What makes us feel drawn to music is that our whole being is music, our mind and our body, the nature in which we live, the nature which has made us, all that is beneath and around us. It is all music. We are close to all this music and live and move and have our being in music. The true use of music is to become musical in one's thoughts, words, and actions." I just think that that's just a tremendous foundational quote for the harmonic self. The true use of music is to become musical in one's thoughts, words, and actions. And that's why I love tea. Tea is a form of music for me. There's so many notes and rhythms, there's a melody, and there's harmony. One of the harmonious aspects is the ceramics. And even in the English tea ceremony, there is an English tea ceremony. It's quite a thing, really, with the finest porcelain and the teapot and all of those things, which we may have time to go into one of these days, is the ceramics. And here is a particularly beautiful piece that I find. I love its coloring. I love the inside of it. And above all, I like the shape. And of course, shape is highly personal, but I just love this particular shape. And I love to drink tea out of this. In past episodes, we've looked at the glass cup, and the glass cup is wonderful for getting the color of the tea, and I love that. But that's why I have this glass teapot here, so we can actually see the glass. Now, in the past, I've used a teapot with a diffuser in it, and with this particular one, it's going to let the tea leaves float. And I like that more than anything else, actually, that they're free. The tea leaves can move around more freely. Today's tea, we started with a black tea, then we went to a green tea. It was a surprise, the black tea. I didn't know what tea it was going to be revealed. Then we went to a green tea, and now we're going to an oolong tea. An oolong tea, actually, no, we went to a pu'er tea, didn't we? We had a pu'er, and now we're going to have an oolong tea. So you can see all varieties of teas. Now, what's lovely about this is that they're all from exactly the same plant or tree, the Camellia sinensis. And all tea, if it's tea, comes from that one plant or one tree, really. All of them come from the leaves or the branches, really. All of it comes from that one tree. And so what makes a green tea and a black tea and an oolong tea and a pu'er tea, a lot of it comes down to oxidization. And that is exposing it really to air. And the blacker the tea, the more air, the more oxidized that it is. The green tea is hardly oxidized at all. The processing after that varies, and some of them are roasted in a wok. Some of them are dried, and the way they're rolled, all of those make up the character of a particular variety of tea. Today we're dealing with one called Lishan Winter Sprout, and from one of the finest tea companies that I know, Song Tea, S-O-N-G, which is in San Francisco. And we're instructed very clearly here that it's going to be 5 grams and 150 milligrams of water, 208 degree Fahrenheit temperature, and a 1-minute steep. So they're very specific about it, and the highest quality teas. So I can definitely recommend that. And remember, part of relaxing with a cup of tea, and we want to be relaxed, that's part of the pleasure of this, is we want to be confident that the tea really comes from the right soil, from the right temperature, the elevation, and all of that. I want to read you something about this particular tea. And they talk about the temperatures. It's a high elevation tea, about 6,000 feet up, 2,000 meters. In a tea garden, the low winter temperatures and slow leaf development allow the plant to accumulate nutrients and develop flavor compounds. Low temperatures also encourage sugar storage, a process that hardens the plant against winter cold. And then they say the result is a base leaf that has all the necessary components for a very special tea, one with texture, florality, and sweetness, and absent astringency and bitterness. Then it talks about the cultivation. This tea was hand-picked and withered indoors, followed by a long low-temperature oxidation for nearly 10 hours before they were gently rolled to bruise the leaves. A shorter oxidation period followed by a final round of bruising, rolling, and roasting finished the tea. The final result are gently curved clusters that unfurl gracefully when steeped. So you can see that there's a thing that I was talking about, a certain romance to the tea. And again, as we open it, and I have opened this one. This is one I bought. This was not a gift, so it was actually opened. And here we have, again, that wonderful aroma, which actually is just gorgeous. They talk about the tea itself has notes of fresh peppercorn, snap pea, and egg custard, which is kind of extraordinary that a tea would be like egg custard, but there you go. I'm weighing the tea now. They're saying 5 milligrams, so I want to do that. Let's calibrate the tea weight to 0. Hopefully we can do that. If not, we'll have to have a guessing game. So there you go. It's 0, and we pour out the tea here. And they're not quite as tightly filled as the gunpowder was, but still pretty tightly filled. I've just poured a little bit too much there. And I like to be accurate with this, just for the hell of it. And let's just pull out one of these to show you if I can. Just lovely tea, and we'll see that unfurl as we go along. And in many ways, we're making music. I like to think that we're just doing, this is part of a musical interlude. And so really, how can our being be music? I mean, when we go back to that quote, we are close to all this music and live and move and have our being in music. Well, I think part of this is that we just can be ourselves. What is our heart song, for want of a better word? How are we expressing who we are? And if there's all this music around us, how do we come into rhythm and harmony with it? And I've only found one way, really, and that is just to really be myself. And being myself is one where I'm comfortable in my own skin. Now, you've seen, of course, other episodes of Tea and Overtones where I've been just a mess, quite frankly, just very tense and wondering where things were and all of that. And it just goes to show you that the reason that I love these talks and getting together like this is that I have a lot to learn. And tea helps me relax and come to that moment of pausing where I can just say, look, I'm just going to take it easy for a few moments. I'm really just going to enjoy the tea. And already you can see there's this lovely, well, hopefully you can see this lovely green color. Don't know if you can see the lovely green color, but there's a lovely green color that's emerging already as these teas begin to unfurl. Now, the purr that I had the other day, I was getting multiple steepings. So the nice thing about this is that there is so much value in a good tea, and you can just steep it, and it still tastes good, and it lasts quite a bit of time, and there's quite a pleasure with each steeping. So again, there's a certain music and harmony in sitting down and having a cup of tea, pausing for a moment. I think it's good to have a focus when we do this. I'm just going to pour the tea out. There's a little metal strainer in the teapot. You can remove that. I don't have a holding cup, but I do like to pour the whole thing out if I can, because I don't want the tea to stew in the water. So here it is. Cheers, and let's just taste this. Can't quite taste the peppercorn, but the egg custard, actually, believe it or not, is quite apparent. Now, what's interesting with this is that the tea has various flavors. Now, it's quite hot right now, of course. It was quite boiling. I'm going to actually pour. I don't want this tea to steep, as I said, so I'm actually going to pour it back in here. I'm going to use this water later on to do some other steepings. If it stews, then it gets bitter and it takes on a different quality. So I like to see it. I think what's so interesting is that unfurling process has begun. And you can see that little piece now has turned into this rather large tea piece. There, nice tea leaf. There's a full leaf that's unfurled. And that again is the quality of the tea. Lesser qualities tea would have bits and pieces of tea, less leaves, bits of the leaf rather than the whole leaf. So this is an excellent tea, and will actually taste quite beautiful as it cools. I find that sometimes a cooler tea is quite delicious. But I do want to kind of make sure that we understand that this idea of being music, this is the whole thing about the harmonic self, being the sound, entering the music. What is the music that we have to enter? And I don't think we have to give up our rhythm to enter the music of life. As frenetic as it can be, we can establish our own rhythm. And in musical pieces, you have different instruments that come in with different qualities to it. And all of us are instruments in a vast cosmic orchestra. And each of us has our part, and each of us has our rhythm. But I think it's important that we're true to our own rhythm rather than giving over our rhythm to someone else. When we give over our rhythm to someone else, I think that's one of the biggest causes of ill health. So when we pause to have tea together, this is a wonderful opportunity for us to use it as a way to establish our own rhythm and move into harmony and perhaps find the melody of our heart. And so until the next time, cheerio.